All right, we're back. Triads. So this lesson is a big deal, okay? This concept of triads is really the key to unlocking your neck. I know we talked about how the octave shapes are the foundation upon which everything is built, right? That's how we're deconstructing guitar. We have 5 shapes. Everything exists in those 5 shapes. But now we're breaking it into smaller pieces, the triads. When I first got triads, that was the first time I had that real aha moment where I was like, all right, man, I think I might get this thing. Triads are, I want you to really love triads and embrace triads. If you can break apart your chords and your arpeggios into little 3-note sections and know where they are all over the neck and how they relate to each other and how to move in between them and know which one's your root, which one's your third, and which one's your fifth, because that's all a triad is. It's just a root and a third and a fifth. If you know where your majors are, your minors, and your diminished, and even your augmented triads, which we're going to talk about in the future, but for right now, for this lesson, major, minor, and diminished, you're going to completely unlock the whole neck. So really, I don't want you to go on to the next lesson until you have your head totally wrapped around these triads, because it's so important. I cannot stress it enough. Triads are a huge deal. All right, so first things first. If you have 3 notes, if you're playing 3 notes, each note has to be on its own string, right? You can't play more than 1 fret on the same string. So if you're playing a triad, it means you're playing 3 strings. Now, you have a root, you have a third, and you have a fifth. In a major chord, it's a root, a major, third, fifth. In a minor chord, it's a root, flat 3, and a fifth. In a diminished chord, it's a root, and both your third and your fifth are both flat, right? If you have your root of the chord being played by the lowest string, so if that's the lowest note in your triad, that's what's known as root position. So if I'm playing a C major triad, which is C, E, and G, and I'm on the 3, 2, 1 strings, C, E, G, that is your C major triad on the 3, 2, 1 strings in root position. Now, what if I put my fifth in the bass? So I'm still playing a root, third, and fifth, but let's say I have my third. My third is the lowest note in the chord, right? That is what's known as first inversion. It's still a C major chord because it's C, E, and G, but C is the lowest note that you're playing in this triad. Okay, next, since there's only 3 notes, you have second inversion, and that's when the fifth is in the bass, right? So you have G, C, and then E. That's second inversion. So there you go. That's it, right there. You have that's the whole inversion story with your triads. You're going to have 3 on each 3 strings. You're always going to be playing 3 strings. You're going to have 3 different places where that triad exists. And even though we have 5 patterns that we subdivide our neck with, pattern 1 through 5, in our octave shapes, each one of those is going to exist. It's going to kind of linger in between 2 of them. They're going to be shared. So again, just to recap, triads, playing 3 notes. It's a root, a third, and a fifth. If your root is in the bass, it's root position. If your third is in the bass, it's first inversion. If your fifth is in the bass, it's second inversion. So we just went through majors on the 3, 2, 1 strings. Let me recap. Root position looks like this, where you have your root, third, fifth. I'm going to do it in C. First inversion here, where this will be your third, then your fifth, and then your root. And then your second inversion will be your fifth, root, then your third, C major there. And obviously as you go up or down, it just repeats. This little part right here, that's the top of pattern 2. or in the middle of pattern 3, however you want to look at it. This little piece here, that's the top 3 strings of pattern 4. This little piece here, this cluster, that's the top of pattern 5 or pattern 1, however you want to look at it. All right, so next we're going to do minors. Same string set, 3, 2, 1 strings, and we're going to do it in D. Again, with minor, it's a root, it's a flat 3, and a perfect 5th. So if we do it in D, I'm going to start in root position. Here's a D, right? There's our root, minor 3rd, and 5th. And if you can see, this is the top part of pattern 2. All right, so next what I'm going to do is we're going to go up, we're going to play first inversion, so our flat 3 is going to be in our bass. Right there. Now that is the top part of pattern 4. Then our next spot is going to be second inversion. We can do D minor like this, with our 5th in the bass, or down here. So those are our 3. All right, and lastly, we're going to have our diminished triad. If you remember our diminished triad, like we've spoken about, it's just your root, it's a flat 3 and a flat 5. Now, very rarely are we going to be playing just a diminished triad by itself. Usually it exists in the context of being the upper triad in a dominant 7th chord. But when we work with just our triads, when we're doing 3-note stuff, especially when we do solos, it comes in, it gets so handy. Knowing your diminished triads is huge because you can imply dominant chords. You can imply that tritone movement, you know, that need for resolution with just 3 notes. You don't have to worry about what's going on in the bass. So here's your diminished triads. We're going to do it. Let's do it in C again. So we have for C, root position, minor 3rd. For a minor triad, we had a regular 5th, but for diminished, it's flat 5 right there. All right, so now, same deal. We're going to go up, we're going to put our minor 3rd in the bass. There's our diminished triad here in first inversion. So this is our flat 3, flat 5, and our root. And finally, as we go up here, we're going to do second inversion. So this is going to be our flat 5, a root, and our minor 3. All right, so that was your major, minor, and diminished triads on the 3, 2, 1 strings. So now I'm going to speed it up a little bit, and I'm going to show it to you on the 4, 3, 2, the 5, 4, 3, and then the 6, 5, 4 strings. I'm going to do them all in C, just to make it simple. So let's do majors. So now we're going to be on the 4, 3, and 2 strings. So this is going to be right here. This is going to be second inversion because our 5th is in the bass. This is going to be root. Again, this is a piece of pattern 4. And then first, this is a piece of pattern 1. So a piece of pattern 1, there's 1. There's second, this is a piece of second or 3rd. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to show you the same triads, major, minor, and diminished, on the rest of the string sets, 4, 3, 2, 5, 4, 3, and 6, 5, 4. I'm going to speed it up a little bit since we've already talked about what the different inversions are. All right, so on the 4, 3, 2, let's do C major. Your lowest one is going to be here like this. It's a piece of pattern 1. Then you have this little cluster here. It's a piece of pattern 2 and 3. Then you have here, which is root position, which is a piece of pattern 4. There's your majors. All right, so for minor, piece of pattern 1 again, pattern 2, pattern 4, all right, and your diminished, which you're not going to be able to get in this position since our fifth right now is being played by an open string. So down here, it's going to be there. And all right, so now we're going over to our 5, 4, and 3 strings. Back to major, C major. Your main shape like that. Obviously a piece of pattern 1. First inversion, piece of pattern 3. Second inversion, piece of pattern 4. Minors, all we're going to do is we're just going to drop the third. Diminished, keep the third drop, and now we're going to drop the fifth. Again, we can't do it in this first position here because our fifth is being played by an open string and we need to go down a half step. So we're going to start like this. This was minor, our fifth, go down, diminished. Again, when we went up before, that was minor, the fifth, that's diminished. Go up, here's the one we couldn't play before, a root, flat 3, and a flat 5 with the stretch 4. Kind of ugly. Last string set, we have our 6, 5, 4. So starting down here, second inversion, our fifth is in the bass. There's your root position. Drop the third. And finally diminish. We're just bringing the fifth down. Very ugly here. And the bass. Minor. Here's your stretch, root, flat 3, flat 5. And lastly, we have all right, so that was our major, minor, and diminished triads on 3-2-1, 4-3-2, 5-4-3, and 6-5-4 string sets. Okay, so you say, well, what's the importance of this? How do I use them? What's the point? What I want you to try to do now, okay, is show me the two progressions we've been working on, the 1-4-5, the 1-6-2-5, and also a minor 1-4-5, where you're playing just triads and you're staying just on one string set. So you can show me that your moves, that you know where your closest moves are, right on your neck, just thinking in the bare essentials of the chord tones that are changing, so that your structure is down to the smallest piece that it possibly can be. If you're talking just a 3-note chord, a triad, you're playing just those 3 notes. So if you can visualize that change on just those 3 notes as you go through these progressions, when we start getting more in depth about our scales, and our arpeggios and connecting everything, you're going to realize that the triads are going to be kind of like the glue that holds everything together, that breaks everything into small, manageable pieces, and it's going to be very obvious where the skeleton is of your chord tones that you're playing over. So for example, let's do a 1-4-5 in C. We're going to start on, let's do our 4-3-2 strings. So you're going to do, say, 1 here. There's our C major chord. 4 is going to be right there. First inversion, that's our F major. Now 5, we could slide up, or we have this one down here. So you have 1, 4, 5. We can go up, right? There's our C, root position. 1, 4, 5. And as you can see, this is a small little piece of pattern 4, pattern 2, F, and pattern 1, G. All I'm doing is breaking it up into small, manageable pieces. If we did that exact same progression, the exact same shapes, just on the 3-2-1 strings, you have, there would be your C, F would be like this, and G would be like that. Triads, very important. So let's do the 1-6-2-5. And let's do that one in, oh, I don't know. We can do that one in A. All right, so you're going to have A major, right? F sharp minor, B minor, to E major, right? But we're going to do it all in triads, real close to each other. So let's do it, again, let's do it on the 4, 3, and 2 strings. So your A major will be right here. And we're going to go to F sharp minor. We don't have to go all the way down here. All we have to do is drop our pinky and bam, that's first inversion, F sharp minor. And we go to B minor, right? Where's our B minor triad? Right there. And then when we go to E, first inversion, right there. So without moving around a lot, right, we can easily visualize our chord tone changes by thinking in 3-note clusters at a time in triads. So we can easily go 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. And we stayed right there in that spot. So again, we're wrapping up this lesson. I just want to, again, I want to reiterate the importance of these triads. Because when we start connecting, we have our pentatonic scales, we have our arpeggios, we have our full 7-note scales. We have our 7th chords, which we know are built off of 1, 3, 5, and 7. You have the triad from 1, 3, and 5, and you have the triad from 3, 5, and 7, right? All these little things break down into little triad pieces. So when you're working on your solos and you're working on your leads and you're combining your arpeggios and your 7-note scales, you can think about the triads and say, okay, like for example, if I'm in this A major right here, and here's my scale, I'm in the key of A major. All those triads, A, F sharp, B minor, and E, all exist in that scale. So when I'm thinking about what chords, what chord tones I'm going to play as I'm improvising, when the scale changes, I can easily say, okay, look, bam, I can see that triad. I can see it. So like those are my chord tones for that E. I know that if I'm going to embellish this chord, I'm going to play other chord tones that come from the scale of my tonic, which would be A. But besides that, I'm going to accentuate that triad. And as you go up the neck, you're going to go to the next triad, which unlocks the next piece and unlocks the next piece. And you work your way up and down through the skeleton, through the arpeggios. I can't express this enough. I don't know how to explain it. Love triads. They will completely unlock your neck. Triads, triads, triads.